2, 3, go.
कर दो स्टार्ट। मयूर okay. My live. Hello guys. If I am live, just let me know. If all of you can see me, so there would be someone from my team would be replying to all of this. So we'll just wait for like 10-15 more seconds and then we'll start the session particularly. Can you reduce the voice a little? Okay. So if you have any questions in time, I'm always looking at the comment section. So whatever specific that you have to ask, please make sure that you ask that in the comment section. I'm looking at all of them. But make sure the whole session that you have just started, you're completing it end to end, because that's almost being all. It would be understatement to say this, that this would be a dream thing for you, and then it would be highly important for you. So let's go ahead. So what? Again, a few things. So again, there are a lot of companies that are currently hiring. To be honest, there's Netflix, Infosys, Google, and many other companies are going to hire in the next upcoming few weeks. So we post that regularly on our social media, because again, you can't visit Prep Insta on a daily basis, but surely you can visit, open up Instagram or Discord or WhatsApp, etc. on the daily basis. So link to all of these social media platforms is in the description. So whenever you find time, just make sure that you follow us there. There are a few companies that are currently also hiring. Also, we have an early bird offer. So we have a product called as Prep Insta Prime. So which is like Netflix for placement preparation. There are 100, 200 courses at the screen. So we'll talk more about this a little later in the session. But we have a good sale going on right now. So that's kind of like a early bird offer. So make sure that you go ahead with it. And we'll talk about more a little later. So let's start. Essentially, this is how a flow. Can you just give me 1 second? Yeah, आवाज थोड़ी सी कम कर दो. Right. So this is how a roadmap of service-based company hiring would be like, right? So for example, first of all, you will be registering for a particular company. Just give me a second. Right. So the first thing would be registration. Then some companies, only some companies would have resume shortlisting. So for example, for Deloitte, ZS, KPMG. So ideally, the companies which pay you between 4 to 8 lakhs per month, per year, would be having resume shortlisting. However, TCS, Infosys, Cognizant, Wipro, etc. would not be having resume shortlisting. Then ideally, they'll be having an online test, which would be an aptitude coding, and then there would be programming MCQs based out of C and C++. Some companies which would have additional advanced coding tests, which would be for a little higher packages. So for example, TCS has two packages. One is Ninja, which is 3.6 LPA, and one is Digital, which is 7. Same goes for Cognizant also, which has a lower package and a higher package. So for the higher package one, there would be an advanced coding test, and then a technical interview, HR interview, then selection, rejection email, and finally an offer rollout based upon background, subject to background verification. Now, first and foremost important thing is, how do you find the syllabus for all of these companies? So basic thing, you go to prepinsta.com, you go to syllabus, and let's say you want to find out what would be the syllabus or the recruitment process of TCS. And then all of this you can find out on this page here. What are the topics that would be coming? So you can browse through the website and you'll understand all of the things. So again, go to prepare, go to syllabus, and you'll find the syllabus for all of these companies here. Right. Now, moving ahead to the actual stuff. So first of all, I recommend you to go ahead and take a screenshot of this. But apart from that, what I'll be helping you with this one by one, each and every point that I've written, we'll be exploring this, because just points does not matter how all of these are important. or the importance of all of these points that are mentioned, how do they play out together is also one of the more important things. So, for example, let's say any service-based company would have an aptitude test, right? So, one more thing is this aptitude test. The reason why those are there is, for example, TCS has to hire 40,000 people. Now, approximately 10 lakh people apply every year. So, they can't take interviews for 10 lakh people, right? That's almost absurd. So, 80% of the people will get rejected in the first online test itself, which is why they keep an aptitude round so that to shortlist and filter out candidates who are not good. A lot of these companies have previous year papers, which are, to be honest, almost practically repeated again and again. So, for example, Deloitte or Wipro, etc. Uh, the questions that you would have that would have come for your previous batch, that is 2021, the same 50 to 60% of the questions would be repeated again for 2022 and so on and so on, right? So again, a good way to find this would be, again, go to Prep Insta, go to Prepare section, and go to all platforms. So for example, same thing for TCS. You can The same thing is valid for all the other companies also. But let's say you scroll down, and here you'll see all the different sections that are asked in the exam. So, for example, if you want to practice probability, previous year questions are in TCS. So, you start the quiz, and then you get a lot of good analytics here. So, for example, you get to know how many people have chosen which particular option, what's your time-based performance, or what's your rank in this particular 10 questions. So, along with the same time, when you're solving the questions, you get a lot of detailed analytics as well. So that would be one good way to you start for, right? One more thing is there would be resume shortlisting. We'll take one more session on resume a little later, I guess next week. So that's very important because definite, if not for service-based companies, practically 99% of the product-based companies would have resume shortlisting, and you'll say that okay, I applied to Netflix, I applied to Google, I applied to Flipkart, or I applied to Oracle or Cisco, but I didn't hear back from them. Or let's say even in on-campus drives, out of 1,500 people that applied from my campus, only 300 got the online test link, and the other 1,200 did not. So that's practically because your resume has issues, and more so, the content in the resume or the project that you mentioned. So we'll take up another lecture onto it. So again, good thing is subscribe to our channel, and then whenever we would have that particular session, we'll talk more about it. All right. Now to move ahead. There's this particular set of technical knowledge that you need to have. So for example, C and C++, as we multiple time mentioned over our Instagram as well. So just to very quickly show our Instagram, so this is 2023. We have different Instagram for different batches. So the same thing goes for, so let's say Prep Insta 2022 has approximately 1 lakh people following, and again, the new one that would be relevant for your batch is about 23K followers. So there are a few companies that are hiring. There are a few things that we help you for your placements. For example, C, C++, Java, Python. Which language should you be preferring? So I guess in this particular post also we've mentioned the same thing, that even if you're a Java programmer or even if you're a Python programmer, particularly you still have to learn C and C++. Why? Because interviews would be asking a few questions. Second thing is there would be input-output questions based upon C and C++ only. So if your test is on HackerRank, HackerEarth, or any other online platform wherein the test is, the code snippets would be based upon C++ or C. So for example, scope resolutor or garbage collection works completely differently in C, C++. There is no concept of pointers again in Java or Python, right? So you need to still learn C, C++, definitely both of them. Now to move ahead, Java or Python, make sure that you pick up any one of them. I'll give you an example. My own brother, who's currently working in KPMG, is a 2021 pass out, and that's a true story. He got rejected in Deloitte. The reason being he did not know Java. However, he knew C, C++, Python. But still, our recommendation is C, C++ is definitely something that you should know, and either one from Java or Python, right? Then you have data structures, very very important. So for example, and there's a top 100 section also for the coding part. Let me go ahead with that first. So for service based companies, we have created this section called as Prep Insta top 100 codes, and we'll be very heavily marketing this and telling it to you, all of you, because that's by far, it's almost like Bible for you to start your coding preparation for service based companies. So this starts from very basic. So there are a lot of people from civil, mechanical, EC, triple E who don't know coding at all. So as you can see, this starts from very basic, like positive and negative number, even or odd number. But when you scroll down, the difficulty slowly and slowly increases. So then we have hexadecimal, decimal, HCF, LCM. Then recursions, code related to arrays. So there are approximately, to be honest, 200 codes in this page, but we say preference are top 100 because that's like little bit of marketing gimmick, right? If we'll tell you preference are top 500, you'll be like, okay, 500 codes are too much. So again, so for example, if I take any particular, for example, let's pick up this HCF code only, right? So there would be multiple methods. For example, to find HCF, there would be 7 to 8 different methods. Now we talk about all of those methods one by one based upon their time complexity, because you should know. So for example, as you can see here, there are totally 5 different methods to find HCF. Now, one would be quick in terms of writing, one would be quick in terms of time complexity. So everything that you should be able to find here. You can even run the code exactly here on the website and then play around with it. So similarly, when we were talking about data structures, we have a very similar section. If you go to the website, go to the programming part, we have this data structure section that particularly we are within the company like to think that it's pretty cool. The reason why the page are really appealing in terms of visual format, as you can see. Again, the same thing goes for the time complexity, different methods discussed in this. Personally, the best part for me that I like the most is this is very engineer friendly, to be honest. For example, every section or every page has a meme review section wherein we explain the same concept with the help of memes. And after each and every section, so for example, if you complete sorting, so post sorting, you have a meme review section which covers all the memes and different new memes to help you understand this in a little more comprehensive way. Now, one more thing is, even if you are learning all of these codes, but there would be a lot of MCQs. So, for example, if I go to this page, if you just give me a second. So if I go to this particular page, they'll be asking you with an MCQ that, okay, in bubble sort, pass 4, iteration 3, how would the array look like? And they'll give you 4 options like 2, 6, 4, 8, 10. So, this is really important from the coding, online coding rounds, from the perspective of MCQs that would also be asked, and as well as the stuff that would be also asked in the interviews as well. Right. So, for example, one more thing that I wanted to show you as well is on this particular page, after each and every section, there are a few questions. For example, based upon linear search, the page that I'm currently on right now, there are a few questions asking the Amazon Metal test or the Wipro AMCAT test or the TCS NQT test. All of these same things you would find on the same page, so that becomes really helpful as well, right? So as I talk, as I was speaking about the other things, so input output questions again are really important. The input output questions, even if you're a Python coder or a Java coder, those would be based on C and C++ only. Even if they are in the pseudocode format, their garbage collection, their memory allocations, and everything would be based on C and C++ only. So you should be definitely considering all of this as well. So which is why even on the prep and stuff prime that we have, right? So there are multiple hats that you need to wear or multiple skills that you need to have. So you can't go and purchase course of C, then C++ also, then Java also, then Python also. So it's similarly, to solve that particular use case, we have Prep and Stuff Prime, which is like Netflix for your upskilling, coding, and placement needs. So you'll get 200 plus different courses, which also includes C code, C++ code, Java code, Python code, and then we have specifically created basic coding, intermediate coding courses, which are specifically aimed for people who are not good at coding. And that's practically for a service-based company level program, right? And then, as I was also speaking, so there are data structures course in different languages, but this DSA and C, Java, Python are specifically aimed for product-based companies. But DSA is also asked to a limited level in service-based companies as well. So for that particular thing, we created another course called as DSA for service-based companies. So again, this would also be accessible for it and competitive coding, etc. So there's again, go check this website a little later once we are done with the session, right? Now, one very, very important thing is projects are must. So I'll take a resume preparation section a little later, I guess probably next week in the middle sometime. But if you look at how TCS grades you in your interview, and this is basically a candidate evaluation sheet used by TCS earlier. So they have basically the interviewer has to fill after taking your interview. So for example, are they recommending you for TCS Digital or Ninja or none of them? Then they give you marks also out of 5: subject knowledge, problem solving, additional competency, digital skills. So, for example, they have, as you can see, there are five marks for subject knowledge or problem solving, and you can take a screenshot of this if you like. But for digital skills, you have 20 marks, and then basically they are practically asking your projects here, and then projects that you can't just simply put it on your resume. If you have projects in your resume, that's fine, but projects that you can share your screen and show. So that's very very important. So for example, I'll just very quickly take you to this page. So we recommend for our prep and Insta prime students, we recommend that, okay, if you've completed a machine learning course that's part of the subscription, there's this capstone project at the very end, that practically you can share your screen, you can run the code, and then you can wear a mask, and the interviewer would be impressed that, okay, you wore a mask and your project was able to demonstrate in real time that were you wearing a mask or not, right? So we'll talk more about this a little later, but practically projects that you can show. Same thing goes about for TCS as well. They're giving 10 marks for certifications. Same thing. Possible code review also mentioned by TCS here. So take a screenshot of this if you like. I guess I'll discuss more about this in the resume preparation section or video that we'll do a little later. Right. Now, for example, you have DBMS and SQL, which are really important again as well. But I guess the companies which are paying between 4 to 6 LPA, so the range would be coming close by for the for the consultancy giants, or you can even call them auditing giants like Deloitte, KPMG, Pricewater, PwC. So on, so on. So for all of these companies, practically any company that's paying you between 4 to 6 lakh. In that case, if you're not a CSIT student, you need to know DBMS and SQL as well. If it's TCS, Infosys, Wipro, basic 3.5, 3.8, 3.9 LPA package, then DBMS SQL is not must, but 4 to 6 is must. And again, if you're a CSIT student, so in that case, OS, computer networks, SDLC, again. And then, group discussions and puzzles are really, really important as well. So on Prime, again, we have a course here that, again, with the part of the Netflix sort of subscription, you'll be able to get access to our HR puzzles group discussion course, right? And it's pretty amazing. So for example, very quickly, if I show you, so for example, the aptitude course, that's not a pretty boring slide recording. So if you look at this, I'm kind of playing this video in 2x, but animations and all of that happen in real time. So as you would be able to see on the screen, and this is how we teach you mathematics. So the whole subscription is like that. Now, even very quickly to basically show off a little, if I show you our machine learning course as well, right? Very quickly. So this is how any particular course structure follows, right? So a lot of good animations in terms of, so this is basically how do you teach a robot to make decisions on their own, to walk on their own, to do certain actions on their own. So this is how the lecture follows, and again, we don't want to make boring slide. We wanted to make a Netflix version wherein it feels like you're kind of watching a documentary here. And then there's a lot of mathematics involved, I guess, in the next video that you probably can see here. And then finally, in the next video, there is this. So as you can see, there's a little mathematics in the next video. And then finally, in the next final video, there's a little bit of coding again that is involved. So as you can see here, finally the code happens. So the whole prime, each and every course that you go to, in the same now, is running in the same format, right? Now, the next slide is again really, really important for you. So basically, these are the skills that are important for service-based companies. Uh, Now, for product, now we start talking about the product-based companies, but before that, there's a bridge in between. So even these service-based companies also have an advanced offers. So for example, TCS also has a 3.6 LPA package here, but they have a higher package of digital, which is 6.5 LPA, and have another package of innovator, which is 11 LPA. Again, Infosys also has two more packages, which is digital specialist engineer, that is DSE. There's a little error in the slide, which is 5 LPA. And then again, Infosys specialist program, which is 8 LPA. Now again, Wipro also 11 LPA, 7 LPA. Cognizant also has 4 different more offers. Now, to be honest, any package that you see here that is greater than 5 LPA, you can consider that the interview and the written or the online test requirement would be the same for them as for product based companies. In fact, Google, Netflix, Cisco, etc. To be honest, I would say that TCS digital interview is equally advanced as probably a Cisco interview, which pays you 21 LPA. In terms of the difficulty level of the interview or the difficulty level of the coding questions asked in the advanced coding round of TCS digital. Right. Now, in fact, this is one thing that we've taken from Cognizant pre-placement talk. So Cognizant came to pre-placement talk to and had a discussion with over students from 300 to 400 different colleges, and this is what they said, that we are hiring, but all the students, but in terms of what package that we will offer them depends upon obviously their coding knowledge first, but apart from that, are they skilled in advanced technologies? So you have to understand, if companies are paying you extra, TCS is paying 3.6 LPA also, and TCS is paying 7 LPA also. For 7 LPA, obviously they will have some advanced, or they will ask the candidate a little more. So in that perspective, obviously they'll ask you more advanced coding questions from competitive coding, advanced data structures to check your problem solving skills. But apart from that, they also want you to be skilled in advanced technologies. Now it could be any of the one that I've mentioned here. But my recommendation is, there are a lot of CSIT people who get carried away that okay, let's learn web development. Now web development is something that even I'm a web developer, but it's something that you cannot acquire uh, in less than 6 months. It will take you at least 4 to 6 months to understand basics of web development. It's too advanced. There are so many things to learn, and that 4 to 6 months you can't put right now when you're preparing for placements. I would recommend you to rather put the same amount of time in data structures, which would take you about a month, with competitive programming, which would take you about another month again. Uh, so in that particular stuff, right? So which is why we recommend you that okay, you either go ahead with artificial intelligence or machine learning, which would take you about 14 days. To be honest, the one that I just showed you here, this project, right, this whole course is something that you can complete within 14 days if you spend like 3 4 hours every day. Same thing goes for cybersecurity or ethical hacking, or we are launching a Salesforce and SAP course also, I guess within 1 week or so. We are launching the Salesforce course within 1 week or so. Within 1 week, we are launching, and big data course and Power BI course also, I guess within the next 14 days as well. So even for the this particular section, which is the skill section, so there are a few skills that are already covered in Prime: artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, ethical hacking, cloud computing, big data, NLP, and I guess 4 5 we are launching within the next 14 days. And any new post that launch on this Prime, you'll get access of that immediately. So that's basically, they are giving you a higher role. So they would want you to have projects. They will want you to have certifications in them, and they will ask you certification. They will ask you questions based upon the project or the certification that you've done, surely. And then they'll ask you also to share your screen and demo your project. So if you don't do that, they will be either giving you a lower package role, which is a 4 LPA or 3.6 LPA role, but they'll not give you the premium role that the company is offering. Again, competitive coding and DSA, right? But we'll come to it. In fact, Cognizant also has an orbit shifter program. We'll skim through this very quickly, that even if you join Cognizant a little later, you can join at a lower package, but they will have an internal assessment wherein you have to clear the DSA. So let's say after 6 months, you join Cognizant, but after 6 months, they're like, okay, we are launching a Cognizant Orbit Shifter program. You have to give an online test. But still in that online test, you will have data structures, comparative coding. Still in that interview, you will have data structures and comparative coding. And still in that interview, you will again have that, okay, have you utilized this 6 months to learn some of these hot skills that I mentioned on this particular slide that I've just mentioned here, right? So practically, to be honest, this even in TCS, the 3.6 LPA role and this 4 LPA role of Cognizant and in Accenture, the 3.6 LPA, Infosys 3.6 LPA, even if they are hiring at 3.6 LPA, but 90% of the people who will join the company will work in testing. Now, if you don't know how testing profile is, it's really bad. Probably you can speak to the people who are working in the industry and understand that should you take a testing profile or not. Practically, you have to click upon buttons and check if this button is working or not. There's no coding involved in that particular thing, right? So moving ahead with the rest of the part. So basically, what additional is required for these product based companies. And post this, I guess we'll talk about the Q&A. We'll take a few more questions from the comments. So if you're here, again, you can post up a few comments, and then we'll have a look upon it. Right. So again, advanced DSA. So I was just speaking that again on Prep and Star Prime, there are basic coding, intermediate coding, competitive coding, but there are different DSA courses as well. But apart from that, there's a DSA for service based companies. Now, for service based companies, the DSA knowledge that's required for you is not so advanced, but a basic DSA knowledge. So which is why there's a very specific DSA course for service based companies. But when you come to these product based companies, advanced DSA and advanced competitive coding is required. So for them, we have created different courses that take you again. This course also starts from basic. This course also starts from basics. But you can understand this course finishes, let's say, at 40%. But this course goes till the 100% advanced concepts of data structures. In fact, to show you a quick demo video of it, so this is the video for Max. I've muted this, but probably you will understand from it. This is one particular video for the max tree in the binary element. So same visually appealing things in the same video, right? Now, okay, so we have this here, so which is why we'll recommend you this particular part. And again, competitive coding in all languages. If you are not a Prime subscriber, so in that case, again, the data structures part, which you can again go from programming to data structures here, you can probably start your learnings from this particular section here. It goes on till trees, graphs, arrays, etc., etc. Right. Now to move ahead, if you are applying for a product-based company, so it doesn't matter that you're a CSIT, mechanical, civil, electronics, EC student, you have to know SQL, DBMS, and OS. Right, that's definitely a most important thing. And again, the same thing that I had mentioned, if you are aiming for product-based companies and do not have projects that you cannot demo, or skills that you cannot demo, or in fact hot skills like Power BI, business intelligence, ethical hacking, cybersecurity, AWS, cloud, machine learning, artificial intelligence, Salesforce, SAP. If you're not certified in all of those skills, and if you cannot share your screen and show all of that, because still this year, even if you are going to college, but most of the interviews would be happening via Zoom and Google Meet, etc. And the reason why is company realized that they can save costs by not visiting colleges, because again, if they have to send 20 interviewers, they have to also pay for their flights, like 20-30,000 per person. They have to also pay for their accommodation, their food, etc. But if they do the same thing from their office, basically they don't have to pay anything extra the day's salary it is, right? So your interviews would be basically you have to share your screen and write the code. You have to share your screen even for DSA and top 100 codes and competitive coding. You have to share your screen. They'll mostly ask you to open up a notepad on your system, and they'll ask you to write the code then, right? Now, okay, just give me 1 second. So, more or less, what I am doing is I'm opening up the session for Q&A, and I guess when I'm speaking, it's like 30-40 second delayed for you. So, in the meantime, till the time when I'm not getting questions on my chat here, I'll just give you a brief demo. So, basically, this is again from my marketing team. So, we have to do this. So, people who have started to prepare early. Now, that's also a very important factor, because what we've seen is people who get higher packages are the ones who start early. To be honest, somebody who's starting in August probably will get a 3.6, 3.74 LPA package. But somebody who's starting right now in June, May, so on. So they have 2 months advantage. So these high paying companies will visit in August and July. So if you're prepared then the other competing people in your college. So in that case, again, you have higher chances to get those extra offers. But again, so for example, let's say if you complete DSA and competitive coding in July or August, and that's when Cisco or Qualcomm or other companies are coming. So they'll select you, then some, and let's say the same thing, but you get prepared with competitive coding and DSA in October, December, but you are at the same level. But at that particular point in time, the companies which would be paying a little higher would have already gone, and they'll not visit your campus again, because they generally your college is also like that. Okay, we will allow the higher paying companies first, and then slowly and slowly, month on month, the package of the companies will keep on decreasing. Right. So prepare a little early. We are running up a discount wherein you'll get like 3 months. Basically, the price has been slashed to almost 80%. And you get 15 days, 1 month, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, even up to as 18 months extra on what? On our Prep Insta Prime. So we have two websites. One is Prep Insta, which is practically your article and blogs and previous year papers, quizzes, recruitment process, programming stuff, as you can see on the screen, right? So that's like a blog website. But here it's more like a video based website wherein we generally help people with understanding of the same thing as it's like Netflix, but for your placement prep. So you'll get access to all the 200 plus courses. Along with that, you'll get two certifications, one from PrepInsta and one from TCS. And you'll get certification from PrepInsta for each and every course that you complete. So you can't keep on buying. So let's say for placement preparation, you need to know C, C++, Java, Python, DSA, competitive coding. You also need to prepare for quants, logical, verbal for your online test. And your exams will be happening on all of these platforms, which would have their own previous year papers. In fact, Cognizant hires via AMCAT, Wipro hires via AMCAT, Deloitte hires via AMCAT, Adobe hires via CoCubes, Capgemini hires via CoCubes, HDFC Bank hires via CoCubes. Most of these product-based companies will hire via HackerRank. So again, all the previous year papers to practice, you need all of that, and again, company-specific tracks as well. So, for example, this TCS course that you see here will tell you that okay, this is your specific preparation plan for TCS. So all the previous year papers, but C, C++, Python, or DSA and programming logic stuff, you will get from here. And again, operating system, DBMS, SDLC, SQL, all of these CSIT courses and your interview preparation, as you can see. So all the courses that I just showed, there are about 200 courses. You'll get access to it again, prep and stuff. So let's go ahead with questions now. What are the certifications that are Pawan is asking offered by you other than TCS Ion? So as I had just mentioned, so every course that you complete, so by complete I don't mean 100% complete, but we have basically I've told it to my support team wherein somebody completes more than 80% of any given course. So if you open up a particular course, it will show you on the top that how much you've completed it. So I've completed it 9.5%. So if that value is more than 80%, so you'll get certification for that particular course. So let's say if you complete 80% C or 80% competitive coding or 80%, let's say machine learning or cybersecurity, you'll get certification for all four or five of them from Prep and Star, right? Can I have the mail ID for support team? I guess somebody in the chat would type, but practically it's support@prepinstar.com. Okay. I'm a non-CSIT fellow. Can I know how should I prepare for Mu Sigma? So that's a very important and valid question. So there are few companies which I like to classify as data companies. Now, Mu Sigma, the math company, ZS Associates, these are data companies. Now, they will not ask you web development. They will not. They'll ask you coding and all, but they'll not ask you artificial intelligence, etc., etc. But since most of these websites or most of these companies work a lot with your data, so they ask you a lot of puzzles. In fact, Mu Sigma will have a technical round wherein 30 to 40% of the time they will spend upon asking puzzles. So again, for puzzles, we created a course, uh, this one here, right? So that's one thing. Apart from that, and I'll just very quickly show you a demo of this as well. So okay, so basically, I guess there are so many browsers that are tabs are open, which is why it's working slow. So puzzles, and apart from that, there's one more thing that is called as case study and guess estimates. So we've created a particular course for case study and guess estimates here that you can definitely check. And so again, the rest of the 30% would be based upon case study and guess estimates. And the last part, so 30% is puzzles, 30 to 40% is case studies and guess estimates, and the rest, whatever 30% or 25-40% is left, that's based upon coding. So C, C++, Java, Python, questions like polymorphism, inheritance, scope resolutor, pointers, and SQL. Yes, they will also ask you SQL, since whenever and wherever you have to work with data, you have to maintain a database, which is why it does DBMS and SQL as well. So if any company will ask you SQL and DBMS, that's basically Mu Sigma, ZS Associates, the math company, Deloitte, KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, all of these companies. Go ahead and research about these companies. So if any company is a company is a non, it's a service based company, but in auditing and consultancy only. So they'll work with a lot of data. So, sir, I have Shruti saying, sir, I have no knowledge of coding, but I have to go for IT industry. So, please guide me to which course I should be doing. So, yeah, two things I'll suggest. First of all, go to Prep Insta, go to top 100 codes. If you're zero in coding, as I said, top 100 starts from very basic, like positive and negative of numbers, even odd, sum of numbers in a range, greatest of two numbers, and then slowly the difficulty increases, and then it will become a little difficult also. So, for example, finding non-repeating elements in an array, but the difficulty will increase so slowly that you will not even realize, or in fact, you will be best prepared to help yourself tackle that particular difficulty level as the difficulty progression increases as you scroll down on the page, right? So that's one thing. Apart from that, in that case, again, which is why the primary reason why we launched Prepinsta was the same thing, right? So just like you were asking which course I should be doing, so you can't buy like three, four different courses, one for TCS, one for machine learning, one for SQL. Let's say 6 months from today, once you're placed, to prepare better to whenever you'll join that particular company, you need web development or etc. So which is why we launch Prime that okay, you get a subscription just like Netflix. So on Netflix, you're like, okay, whatever thousands and thousands of movies are there, I pay once for the subscription and I get access to all of them, the whole bouquet of library or bouquet of content that they have, right? So same thing goes on here. Again, for you, you will be able to access everything, but in that case, for you, I'll suggest to begin with basic coding and intermediate coding course. So again, starts with the same way. So this is basic coding in Java, basic coding in Python. You'll go to this particular course here, and just give me a second. So and then you, so it's in different languages as I said, right? So then you'll be able to watch all of these videos as well. So for example, positive and negative number, right? So this particular video is what you can go ahead and watch. So with this one, right? So let's have a look upon the more questions. So I'm struggling with code in Geeks for Geeks to write code. Can I write code on Visual Code or Eclipse and show the whole code easy to code? When there are test cases in Geeks for Geeks or HackerRank, I'm struggling. Yeah, doesn't matter. Upendra, wherever you code, it's fine, right? It's eventually to practice. But when the online test would happen, so either they would happen on HackerRank or HackerEarth, or there's one more platform called as Codility. So this is where most of these product-based companies will have their online test. So ideally, they will have like a 2 hour online test. In that case, you will have at least 30 to 40 MCQs, 15, 20 for any product-based company. 15 to 20 questions would be based upon aptitude. 10, 15 questions more would be based upon coding, input, output, C, C++, Java, Python, SQL, DBMS, operating system, etc. And then there would be two coding questions. One would be medium and one would be difficult. So to solve that medium difficulty coding levels, 30 minutes would be an ideal time. And then for the high difficulty coding level, approximately 1 hour would be ideal time. So this 40 MCQs, you will get approximately 40 minutes. And for these coding questions, they'll give you approximately 1 hour, 20 minutes, right? And you'll see most of them would be on HackerRank or HackerEarth, right? How is Mu Sigma Prime Mock helpful? So Prime, if you go ahead with Prime Mock, you'll get access to all the previous year papers of Mu Sigma, right? But rather than that, what I would suggest is go ahead with the Prepinsta Prime subscription, right? So practically, whenever you go ahead with it on, so whatever Prime mocks that are there on Prepinsta, you'll automatically get access to all of them for Accenture, Capgemini, so that you can practice previous year questions and also take mocks, right? So if I Okay, so even I have to log in because I've not logged in. So basically, mock test would be coming here. Anyways, Sir, I am Prepinsta Prime member and I am good at Python. And to get prepared for placements, what should I learn now? I am in 2023 batch. So basically, I'll tell because since you're already a Prepinsta Prime subscriber, so let's say even if you were not good in Python, or let's say you are zero, so this is how I would suggest your basic flow of preparation. So practically, it should be first wants logical, verbal, data interpretation, and visual reasoning. And the reason why I'm saying that is, let's say if you start preparing coding and DSA and competitive coding, but there's no point of doing that if you're not able to clear the online test. 80% of the people will get rejected in the online test, which would be an aptitude round for most companies. So if you don't clear that, your DSA prep and your competitive coding prep would go and fail. So to be honest, I'll be very honest and tell a story. So, my very good friend in college, uh, she started preparing DSA and competitive coding, but she remained unplaced throughout the college. The reason being she followed the wrong approach, that is to learn coding first. Ideally, you should prepare aptitude. You should first clearing all of these online tests, and once you start clearing the online tests on a regular basis, then you go ahead with coding. So practically this aptitude section, whenever any particular company visit, then practice previous year papers from that particular company micro courses. Then your ideal flow should be first C. Doesn't matter if you're a Python programmer. First C, then C++. Side by side, or let's say either one from Java or Python, right? So once you complete this, then you do two things side by side. Go ahead with the basic coding and intermediate coding course, and side by side start with one of the skills that's mentioned here. So for example, if you're studying for 5 hours a day, so in that case 1 hour every day you can give to artificial intelligence course and start building learning artificial intelligence and create projects. So to be honest, there are so many projects in this course. So for example, Pokemon Pokédex creator, Amazon user segmentation, Zomato review analysis, image based recognition, Netflix movie recommendation, big basket cart prediction. So all of these are part of the same cool. So we created these cool projects that you can show on the screen and impress the user or impress the interviewer. And then once you've done these two side by side, then go ahead with DSA. And once you complete the whole DSA, then competitive coding. In case you're a CSIT person, so in that case, somehow you have to figure out time to also complete operating system, DBMS, SDLC, and SQL. Definitely. Computer networks is something that you can skip completely because that would be only valid for networking companies like Texas Instruments, Cisco, Qualcomm, Arista Networks, etc. Which language will you suggest for data structure? So we posted this on our Instagram also. So make sure that you follow us on our Instagram. There are a lot of companies that are hiring right now. So we posted about all of them. But again, we basically posted the same question that you had on our Instagram. So everything that I will tell is already mentioned here. But practically, I'll say that there are a lot of people who do data structures in Python. I request you, please do not do data structure in Python. There are two reasons for that. Because let's say somebody is doing data structures in Python and I've previously worked in Google, right? So I've interviewed a lot of people as well. So I would kind of laugh it off on that particular person because the reason why I'm asking data structures is I want to test how good are you with problem solving, handling edge cases, and how efficiently you can write code in terms of time complexity. But when you so the most important thing is, let's say I gave you a question of trees, which involves you to create a queue or a stack. Now, in C++, Java, or Python, you will ideally be creating a queue or a stack as well. So I would be able to check that, okay, are you handling your overflow condition, underflow condition, boundary cases? Are you also making sure that the time complexity is n log n or log n or not more than n square? But let's say as soon as you in Python write q.add, so what happens is there was a code of about 60 lines that I wanted to see, which will test your underflow, overflow, and so all the skills that I mentioned. I was not able to test that, so I'll get pissed off. So, okay, I did not ask you to solve that problem. I wanted to understand your journey in terms of problem solving. Second thing is there are two concepts. So Python is a language that's written for MBA people because MBA people are not good at coding and they still want to code a little so that they can create their graphs, etc., etc. It's also used by, so basically it's used for a lot of data, artificial intelligence, and things wherein time complexity is not the main most important objective. So it's not like a website loading wherein if it loads half second later, so there would be a huge problem. If you're working with artificial intelligence, even if let's say the result comes in 10 hours rather than 5 hours, that's fine because they work on so complex problems. So Python is slow. Whatever code that of Python that you write, if you did not know it, your interpreter is written in C. So Python code gets converted into C code, then C code converted into byte code, and so on and so forth. Right. So Python is slow, so data structure time complexity would be really bad in that case. So do not code in Python. So ideally, I would suggest you to go ahead with C and C++. So C++ is mandatory for data structures because when you reach a certain level, you would need the help of STL, that is standard template library, to work with problems of trees, graphs, comparative coding, etc. And same goes for if you can do with Java, but Java is a little difficult language than C and C++ to pick up initially. But again, same goes. You can start with basic Java, and whenever you reach graphs and uh, trees, etc., you can go ahead with the collections library of Java. So till let's say stacks and queues, your C would work out perfectly. But post uh, trees and graphs, you will need C++ because you will need STL library, which is not available in C. Python is still good. To be honest, my primary language to code is Python. So if you give me a program, I'll write the code in Python. But if it's a data structures problem, I will solve that in C++. Right? For non-IT students, how can you do projects? Yeah, same thing. I'll tell you, there are a few people that are hired, that we've hired, and there are a few of the interns that are sitting here also who have gotten placed in TCS, Digital, Acolyte, etc. Now, they are also non-CSIT people, most of them. But the reason why they have higher packages in product-based companies or service-based companies offering higher packages is the primary reason is that they learned the additional skills, for example, data structures, comparative coding, and did projects. These are the extra things that you have to do for product-based companies. So, one thing that you have to understand is these companies do not. So, for example, let's say I'm hiring for TCS Digital. There are two people. One is CSIT person and one is ECE person. I, to be honest, will not give any damn about your branch because my objective is to hire the best person for the job. And for the job means the person who can come to the company and start writing the code and perform. So whoever is better, I will hire that, right? So even though these companies are allowing non-CSIT people to apply for them, but they don't care and they will not be partial to you that okay, he's a mechanical student, doesn't matter if he doesn't know DSA. No, should know DSA. You're applying to an IT company. If you don't know coding, go ahead and apply for a mechanical job or an EC job or a civil job. If your if your aim is these IT companies, then stop procrastinating and code. So well, there's no easy way to say this. I might sound a little blunt in that case. You can go ahead with Python as the first language, but again, at some point in time, you'll have to go ahead with C and C++ as well because you'll not be able to clear the written rounds because most of the MCQs are based upon that, right? Okay. Thank you so much for sharing this session. Okay, what topics are so there are some topics missing in DSA. Please upload those videos. Yeah, I guess what you're talking about is you are checking this DSA for service-based companies, wala thing, right? So in that case, obviously there are some topics that are missing on this particular course, and that's on purpose because those topics are not relevant for service-based companies. So the missing topics would be found in these courses, which are practically for these product-based companies. Uh, right. So that's pretty much about it. So if you have any questions at any point in time, what you can do is either you can text our team, make sure that you follow Prep Insta. So all the links are in the description of the video. or you can DM me as well. My Instagram username is this. Right, so you can DM me here. I'll reply a little late, but I'll surely reply. Right, to most of the messages that I get. Sometimes it may take a day or two. I'll not be very okay. You message me and I reply to you instantaneously, but I'll surely reply here. But make sure that you follow us on this. There are a few links that we mentioned again to get off-campus updates. As I said, there are a few companies that are currently hiring: Amazon, Infosys, Netflix, Google. So we posted the links on our Instagram. In fact, all of these off-campus drives that we posted on social media, as I mentioned earlier, because you don't visit Prepinsta on a daily basis, so you will miss upon a company hiring. But you'll open an Instagram daily. So we post on our Instagram. So make sure that you follow us there. And final thing from my sales team, we are running. So basically, these are the best prices. I don't think, because this gets dictated by the sales team, that practically I can't move my system because I can't move my system so much. But there are people who are sitting here, that's dictated by them. But from what I understand, these are practically the best prices. So, and plus some extra ones that we are also getting. So have a look upon it. Thank you so much, and that's it from my end. Thank you.